On this week's show, we talk with CB Cebulski from Marvel, Archie vs. Predator, and The White Knight Returns. It's Previews World Weekly, and it's happening right now. What's up, Previews World? It's Wednesday, it's New Comic Book Day, which means it's time for Previews World Weekly. I'm one of your hosts, Troy Jeffrey Allen.
And I'm Thea, and we're here every week to remind you guys to stop at a comic shop and get involved in what's happening in the world of comics. And if you're enjoying the show, or even if this is your first time watching, let us know by giving us a like and a follow.
So, super obvious thing, right? San Diego Comic-Con did happen.
Yep.
We did a lot of cool stuff there while we were there.
I was going to say, Mr. Fancy Pants got to go.
I know. I feel bad. I feel like people want to go. But at the same time, there were a couple instances it was like, Theo would hate this.
Yeah.
Like, particularly walking from the hotel to the convention, just the crowds of people and just everyone getting funneled through a door space. Yeah, all right. But
I didn't like that at Otakon, let alone.
Right, yes. It's a challenge, it is. But I mean, also, I'll kind of give them credit. Compared to other conventions, they make it very easy.
Sure.
But at the same time, if you're not big on crowds, which I'm also not, it's just oh God.
Too many humans.
But there were a lot of San Diego Comic-Con announcements, of course. But I also wanted to point out that we're doing we did do a lot of cool stuff at the show. We got to talk to Romita Jr. So be on the lookout for that. We'll show you a little bit of clip of that video later in the show. We got to we're going to do a video called Comics at Comic-Con, because the gag is that, of course, it's called Comic-Con, but it's really about Hollywood, TV, and movies.
Sure.
But that's not necessarily true. There definitely are comics there. Matter of fact, I personally scored an Avengers and a JLA bundle that I've been looking for a while. So comics do exist at Comic-Con. And on top of that, we got to talk to a bunch of creators. And we also got to talk to Editor-in-Chief CB Cebulski at Marvel, and kind of gave us the state of the union of Marvel thus far this year, because we know it's their 80th anniversary. So just some cool stuff. Nice. But back on the home front, was there anything in particular that kind of caught your eye, in terms of SDCC news?
I mean, I guess I was, I'm excited for all the MCU stuff.
Right, yeah.
Right? But I don't know. I all of it's good.
Right, yeah.
Give me all the nerd things.
All of it has potential, right?
But yeah, just a lot of the shows that are coming I think are going to be fun.
Now, you've watched Doom Patrol.
I have.
And it got renewed for a second season.
Yes.
Which is kind of awesome, because I know that Swamp Thing got axed pretty quickly.
Yeah.
And I don't know even if the Titans show is still coming back or not. I'm not 100% sure about that. So
I was very lukewarm about that one.
Yeah, I think a lot of people were. But on top of that, I actually wanted to point out that it's kind of weird because you're on the floor and you don't really get to see all the news that's coming in until after the fact.
Sure.
So I really only caught up to stuff until either via text message, because everybody's like, oh my God, check this out. Or on Sunday when everything was kind of wrapped up.
Yeah, cool.
But one thing I did catch is there was a chase with cops on Venice Beach. This guy was dressed as the Joker from Scott Snyder's run of Batman.
Specifically.
He was wearing a Hawaiian shirt and the Joker mask, which has got the pulled back face. And it was on the local news. And I found...
Oh man!
And apparently, the cops had chased this guy and this girl. She didn't get arrested, but the guy hopped out of the car and then started walking around Venice Beach, walked onto the beach itself, and there was a guy sunbathing, but also kind of covering his body in sand. He started helping the guy cover his body in sand. Eventually,
cosplayers run amok.
Right, yeah. Eventually, they actually went ahead and arrested this guy.
Oh my gosh!
But they didn't arrest her, and I guess it was just for disturbing the peace or something like that.
Yeah.
But yeah, it was just a very odd thing.
How funny!
Yeah, hopefully we can I guess maybe because it's news we can actually show you a clip of
Sure.
it. But I just thought it was really interesting
That's
that
weird.
yeah. Also, something that really amused me, because I'm actually really excited for this Quentin Tarantino. Maybe it'll happen. This Quentin Tarantino Star Trek movie, if it actually happens, right? Yeah, I mean it's really up in the air. But I was kind of going online trying to play catch up this morning, and I caught this bit about Tarantino talking about the Kelvin timeline for Star Trek. And I wanted to read this out loud because I thought this was hilarious. It's from the Happy, Sad, Confused podcast. And he says he still doesn't quite understand the aspect of time travel in the Kelvin movies, which is basically the J.J. Abrams, but 2009 up.
Sure.
And he's like, J.J. can't explain it to me. My editor has tried to explain it to me, and I still don't get it. Something happened in the first movie and now kind of wiped the slate clean. And I don't buy that. I don't like it. I don't appreciate it. And he says a curse word. He says, F that. And then he says, I want the whole series to have happened. And it just hasn't happened yet. No Benedict Cumberbatch or whatever his name is not Khan, all right? Khan is Khan. And I told JJ, I don't understand this. I don't like it.
you're really feeling.
Which is
that's hilarious.
It's absolutely hilarious. And
he's got some feelings.
He's got some feelings. And also, I feel if you were questioning Quentin's like Star Trek cred at this point, I kind of feel like at least maybe this puts him in your favor a little bit, because I thought that was really amusing, and also
I'm
just
sure a lot of people are on board with that.
Right, like just the absolute like rage quit of like the 2009 Star Trek. Right. So that's all the interesting things that came across this week on San Diego Comic-Con.
Nice.
I mean, according to us anyway.
Right.
I mean, you can go anywhere else and find out all the movie stuff and all that stuff.
Yeah.
But we're here to talk about comics. So Anna Mia's here, and she's going to show you what's on Comic Shelf this week, and then when we come back, we'll give you guys some of our picks.
What's up, Previews World? Mia here, and I'm going to give you a look at some of the new titles in stores this week. Here's what's at comic shops for the week of July 24th, 2019. And we're just getting started. The world of comics has even more to offer. So stop at a shop already, and you might just find your new favorite thing. See ya!
Thanks, Mia. As usual, a pretty cool lineup of stuff, and of course that's only a little bit of what's out this week. So if you want to see a full rundown, head on over to PREVIEWSworld.com/new releases, and you can see the full list of what's available out today. What you looking at?
No big hard sale here. Like, it's House of X #1. Like, I'm pretty certain at this point, like, a lot of people are excited for it. I kind of anticipate this probably being the best-selling book of July.
Cool.
Yeah, we got to talk to CB Cebulski about that a little bit, and he gives us a little reveal, a look into the future of where this is all going. It's one of 2 6-part series that is written by Jonathan Hickman, and it's drawn by R.B. Silva, and I forget the other guy's name. I'm sorry, I apologize. But the artwork's great.
Yes.
And it's like he's building. A lot of people are given the impression that they're going to like revamp the X-Men or reboot the X-Men, or say like everything in the last couple of years is garbage, and here's like some new continuity retcon thing. That's not what this is.
No.
And like it's actually more of a taking all the little bits and pieces of the X-Men universe that haven't quite been connected properly, right, and bringing them all together.
Yeah.
And actually, in that regard, it's very similar to X-Men Grand Design, because that's what X-Men Grand Design did. But Hickman's going to tell like an overarching narrative, and I have full confidence that he'll do that and knock it out the park. So definitely check that out. I know a lot of you will. House of X #1.
Absolutely. I'm always here for more X-Men.
More X-Men, exactly.
So
what about
I'm
you?
looking at the Glow Summer Special.
Oh yeah.
Love them gorgeous ladies of Rushlin.
Oh yeah.
Rushlin. That was beautiful. Anyway, so this is a summer one-shot, and it's Devin Grayson and Lisa Sturl. And I thought it was pretty funny, actually, that Devin Grayson is known for his work on Nightwing.
Her
work.
Devin Grayson,
Excuse
yeah.
me.
She's a huge Nightwing
I don't know why
fan.
I said
I
him.
think she may have changed her name. I think, because she's that big of a Nightwing fan. That's what I've heard.
Even better.
That's just a rumor.
Good.
I don't know if that's true or not.
I am pleased. Either way, it's the Gorgeous Ladies of Wrestling versus Nuclear War? Question mark. So it's all about sort of the Cold War aspect of their characters.
Takes place in
and
the
stuff.
80s, yeah.
Takes place in the 80s. So Russia and America are, having some issues, so they're taking it to the ring with the wrestling teams and stuff. So yeah, it's a lot of fun.
No, I love that. I mean, definitely, we're both fans of that show. So and like I saw quite a few Zoyas at Comic-Con. That was actually one of my highlights. Is like just seeing like people dressed as characters from Glow. Because I'm like, oh God, good. People watch this show. Good.
Yes.
My pick this week actually isn't a comic, but actually a book written by J. Michael Straczynski, who writes comics in addition to TV and film. Straczynski he was the creator of Babylon 5. A lot of certain key aspects of the Thor movie, the first Thor movie, were pulled from his run of Thor. And on top of that, he wrote the Angelina Jolie movie Changeling. But for our purposes, because we're going to get a John Romita clip later in the show, he also did the 9/11 issue of Amazing Spider-Man, which was like a huge deal at the time. And we're going to have John Romita talking a little bit more about that and his collaboration with Straczynski. But I thought this particular book was interesting because it's called Becoming Superman. And it's a tale of like his time in poverty, but how he made it to Hollywood. And just me personally, I just think that like those stories are always fascinating. and especially someone from a comic background, but also a film background.
For sure.
Like, just being able to pull himself up from his bootstraps.
As it were, yeah.
Right, yeah,
The classic story.
Right, yeah. Rags to riches, that sort of thing. I just thought that was really interesting. And I'm always fascinated by those stories about people breaking in.
Yeah.
I have Robert Rodriguez's Rebel Without a Crew, and it's kind of the same thing about him selling his body to science, to make movies, So I'm just very curious about this. So
that's cool.
Definitely check that out. It's worth picking up, I'm sure. And JMS is a great storyteller, so I'm sure he'll be able to tell his own life story in interesting ways.
That's really cool.
What else can people look forward to this week?
So there's this great book called Star Pig.
It's
It's got a giant tardigrade in it.
What's it?
So the tardigrades are the water bears.
Oh, the water bears, that make up everything.
These little guys, and they look mildly terrifying up close. But they're also in the Ant-Man movies.
Right, yeah.
So, y'all, you should know what a tardigrade is.
Yeah.
Don't go into the tardigrade fields.
No, don't.
But so this is about a 16-year-old girl, and apparently she's in the late 21st century, and most teenagers get sent off to space camp, which is literally in space.
Okay, all right.
But some tragedy hits, and the shuttle on the way out gets into a big old accident and stuff, and they're just sent careening off into outer space.
Nice.
And they're saved by a giant tardigrade.
Oh, a giant one?
Giant.
Okay, interesting.
Giant. So, tardigrades are microscopic. We cannot see them with the naked eye.
Right.
This one is huge.
It's huge. Interesting.
Yes.
Huh, okay.
Humongous.
I think you might have sold me on this. Like, I'm actually very curious.
Hilarious. And it's sort of like described as a mashup between like Saga and Guardians of the Galaxy, because it also is sort of set to the 1990s heavy playlist that this girl listens to on her Discman, like her retro, so it's this fun sort of pop culture-y, goofy space story.
Okay.
Yeah.
I'm all for it. I love it. Also out this week, Batman Curse of the White Knight, which is a big one. Actually, this is actually a really good week for comics.
Yes.
And so much, in fact, that I actually had a hard time kind of sorting out what I was going to pick. But we did an interview with Sean Gordon Murphy about a month ago, where he kind of gave us a glimpse inside his White Knight run, but also gave us an advanced look at Curse of the White Knight.
Yeah.
Definitely check it out. It's got it covered. It's on our website, PREVIEWSworld.com.
Yeah.
And it's just Google, type in, search Sean Gordon Murphy, and it'll pop up. But I know a lot of people are anticipating this. This is actually another really big book for that week. So definitely something to pick up. And what else can people look forward to?
Archie versus Predator 2. So this is a round 2. They've already done Archie versus Predator.
Yeah.
So this is the continuation of that. And this is Betty, Veronica, and Predator Archie have been left in the wreckage of their town after the whole incident with
The
Predator. And they're trying to figure out how to get back home, and normally they would just go down memory lane and make it back to their world, but they don't really have that option.
Right, yeah.
So they end up getting in a car and driving down a different road, and they make it back to Riverdale, but it's not their Riverdale, and they encounter themselves.
Okay, interesting.
So I don't know how they're going to work this all together, but it sounds really cool. And of course, Predators still on the prowl, and there's predators on Mars, and they're keeping an eye on Riverdale and then planning their next attack.
Okay.
So
I've been deliberately staying away from spoilers for this one because I love the first Archie versus Predator. It's just like a great dark comedy.
Yeah.
But actually, the memory lane thing is actually a thread that I think they did in Archie Married or something like that. So it's actually cool that you're doing a callback to that.
Yeah.
All right, awesome. I'm all for that. Yeah, I know a lot of people are looking forward to that, and I am too. So that's really cool. So earlier I did definitely mention that JMS has run on Amazing Spider-Man, which was drawn by John Romita Jr. And I got a chance at San Diego Comic-Con to sit down with John Romita Jr. and just talk to him about his career. And one of the questions I asked him was, hey, what is a story that you wish more people paid attention to? And he brought up the 9/11 issue of Amazing Spider-Man, which is already a popular story, but I can understand why he would say that. But here's why. Here's his reasons for picking that particular book. Check it out.
I guess, unfortunately, the 9/11 issue in Spider-Man, which was the toughest thing I've ever worked on. And obviously, I didn't go through what some families went through. But when it happened, they told me they wanted to do something in Spider-Man referring to the 9/11 attack, the terrorism. And I said, that's just, you can't do that. That's horrible. How would you want to capitalize? Then they explained to me, we're not capitalizing. We are addressing it through Spider-Man as this, this, and this. I said, okay. So I talked it over with my father, and Straczynski sent me the plot. And apparently he had struggled with it morally as well, saying there are no words, meaning literally there are no words. And apparently that set something off in him. There are no words to describe what we are going through right now. Imagine how Spider-Man would feel, or a superhero would feel, who's supposed to be there to save the city, and he couldn't. So the image of the double-page spread of him standing on a corner of a building looking down at the flattened area was so important to me, because that's what I felt like. My wife and I both put our hands on our heads and just bent over and cried. That moment, that scene, I can't look at it without getting choked up, because it's so finding out and waiting until we heard from all family members and friends to find out if everybody was all right. I wish that book had sold 1 million copies and could have been sent. The money could have been sent to the 9/11 fund. That would be the one moment that I think everybody should have picked up 2 million, 10 million copies of. I wish.
So yeah, I think myself and Johnny were both like, really shocked by like how well that interview went. Like, he kept saying that he doesn't really like to promote himself too much,
Sure.
But ultimately, like, he's a storyteller.
Yeah.
And he told us some really great stories about his career, which I absolutely love. So definitely keep an eye out for that. That's going to be something that's going to be going up on our YouTube and on our site later, and maybe in a couple of months. Maybe we'll see like what the schedule is, but definitely keep an eye on it, because it's actually a really fun interview.
Cool.
And on that note, it's time for news. So we're going to kick it over to Thea, and we've got a lot of stuff to talk about for San Diego Comic-Con. So we won't cover it all, but we're going to cover some highlights, and Thea's going to give you a rundown of everything that's happened in the world of comics in the last 7 days. Check it out.
At their Next Big Thing panel at San Diego Comic-Con, Marvel announced 6 brand new ongoing series with a suite of all-star creative teams to take mutant kind further than they've ever gone before. These new series will build directly from the universe-shifting events of House of X and Powers of 10, and will also kick off the first phase of Jonathan Hickman's massive multi-year plan for the X-Men, redefining everything the world knows about mutants and their place in the universe. And this is only the beginning. The Dawn of X will begin this October.
Nice. I mean, yeah, everybody's all for it. Like,
Yes.
there's no reason not to be excited.
Exactly.
And like the artwork for these upcoming books, like Rogues on Excalibur, like apparently I guess it looks like Psylocke is Captain Britain. Like,
I'm here for it.
I'm all for it.
Yeah,
So yeah,
it all looks really cool and it's beautiful.
yeah, great
Absolutely,
stuff.
very
Great
shiny.
artwork. Yeah.
Image Comics is pleased to announce that New York Times bestselling writers Scott Snyder and Charles Soule will team up with artist Giuseppe Camuncoli for a new comic book series titled Undiscovered Country. In Undiscovered Country, readers will journey into an unknown region that was once the United States of America, a land that's become shrouded in mystery and literally walled off from the rest of the world for decades. A small expedition enters the former U.S. in search of a cure to a humanity-ending pandemic. They travel inward and learn the secrets of what America has become. The full-color ongoing science fiction adventure is set to launch from Image Comics this November. Yeah. This sounds so cool.
Yeah, I missed this one. You and Johnny came
Yeah.
back after and told me that like this looks really cool and sounds really cool.
I am so excited for this, just conceptually. I mean, it feels like a little bit of Escape from New York, but with an entire country,
Right, yeah.
And then it's got the aspect of the whole pandemic thing,
Yeah.
which makes me think of like Maze Runner and that sort of stuff.
Right,
Yeah.
yeah.
But all very cool subject matter.
No, very cool, and
Yeah.
a great team. So
Yeah.
go for it.
Very good team. Wasting no time following up his breakout hit Major X for Marvel, Major X and Deadpool creator Rob Liefeld is bringing his blockbuster brand to the iconic G.I. Joe franchise at IDW. Snake Eyes Dead Game, coming in early 2020, will mark Liefeld's first G.I. Joe story. Details of the storyline remain under wraps for now, but the legendary creator promises the most action-packed epic of his career. IDW's president, Chris Ryall, has said, "The high-octane, adrenaline-fueled action and adventure Rob brings to every comic he creates is a perfect fit for Snake Eyes, and we're all as excited as you are to see him really cut loose on the pages of this very special G.I. Joe series." G.I. Joe.
I feel like this is like two things that like make a lot of sense. So I feel like there's a Venn diagram, the people that like Rob Liefeld, and the people that like G.I. Joe are kind of like,
There's a good intersection.
They are two different groups, but at the same time, there's definitely an intersection.
Sure,
so
sure.
I'm with it. Sure, why
It's still
not?
it's still mildly entertaining to me how popular G.I. Joe
Yeah.
still is.
Oh, yeah. Yeah,
right?
yeah, yeah,
And
yeah.
it's huge. There's a whole convention for
Right,
it and
yeah.
everything. Like, that's really fun.
You know, also they don't get enough credit for being diverse. Like, I mean,
That's
like,
really
like
true.
that crew has been like always like had a range since like the
Absolutely.
80s.
Absolutely.
So yeah, I mean that's part of its appeal, I'm sure,
For sure.
because it does well internationally as well.
Something for everybody.
There you go.
The world of the Umbrella Academy continues to grow at Dark Horse Comics. During the second half of 2019, Dark Horse will release a variety of new and exciting products based on Gerard Way and Gabriel Ba's award-winning universe. From new coffee mugs to keychains to wrapping paper, Dark Horse Comics has the perfect gifts for the Umbrella Academy fans in your life. And just in time for the holidays, a new one-shot comic, Hazel and Cha-Cha Save Christmas, Tales from the Umbrella Academy. In this all-new story, Hazel and Cha-Cha, the bizarre assassins who first appeared in the Umbrella Academy Dallas and blew audiences away in the Netflix series, track down a rogue time ancient and cross paths with a plot to discredit Christmas. The 32-page comic goes on sale on November 20th.
I hope this is like the future for these Umbrella Academy stories. Like I hope they just start dropping one shots of like, because I mean the way that the story like unfolds, it's like it invites like, you know, just
Absolutely.
random snippets, much like they do with Hellblade Dark Horse.
Exactly, just little side plots here and there
Yeah.
with a couple of the cooler characters
Right,
here.
yeah, yeah.
It's so good, yeah.
So expansive, so why not?
Sure.
Yeah.
Yeah. Harleen Quinzel, Dinah Lance, and Helena Bertinelli are all powerful as individuals and become an unstoppable force when together. But you need to break some eggs to become the Birds of Prey. DC is proud to present Birds of Prey, a new ongoing monthly comic starring Harley Quinn, Black Canary, and Huntress, with more pressure and higher stakes than fans have ever seen before. Brought to you by hard-boiled superstar writer Brian Azzarello and the bombshell art team of Emanuela Lupacchino, Ray McCarthy, and Trish Mulvihill. Needless to say, the birds are back in town. Birds of Prey #1 debuts in comic book stores on Wednesday, October 30th, with a cover by Lupacchino and McCarthy and Nicholas Filardi, and a cardstock variant cover by J. Scott Campbell.
Nice. And can I just say, on the plane actually to San Diego, I read Batman Damned. I read all 3 issues.
Ha, good.
And it was excellent. And it is Brian Azzarello. I had no idea that Brian Azzarello was doing this Birds of Prey
Da,
book.
da, da, da.
Like, that's actually really cool.
It's pretty
and
exciting.
if you've read his Wonder Woman, you know that he's also just really great with female characters.
Yes, he
So, yeah. Like,
It's an exciting drop.
I'm all for that. That's really
yes, yes.
cool. So we're going to go ahead and segue into toys now. Natasha's here, and she's going to show you what's on the previews toy chest. And then when we come back, we're also going to show you a trailer. So when we come back, we'll talk a little bit more about that trailer as well. Check this out, previews toy chest.
Hey Previews World, here's this week's rundown of some of the toys, statues, and collectibles hitting store shelves for the first time. Let's take a look inside the Previews toy chest for the week of July 24th, 2019. Want to see more? Be sure to check out Talking Toys, our weekly show that spotlights new collectibles on their way to your friendly local comic shop. Just head over to previewsworld.com/talkingtoys to find out more.
And that was Once and Future from Boom Studios. It's dropping August 14th at your local comic store. It's available to pre-order right now, so definitely check that out. I know we did this. We talked about this in like a news bit like a few months back, and you were all about it.
Yeah, I'm super excited for
Right.
this. It's just like a great combination of stuff.
Yeah,
Magic, mystery, English history.
Right. We were joking earlier. It rhymes. It's like, you know, that should be the tag. They should put that in the trailer. There you go. Also, it's Kieran Gillen who did Wicked and Divine. I know a lot of people love that. People loved his run on, I think it was Darth Vader. He's just a writer that people love.
Solid.
And Dan Mora, who did Klaus with Grant Morrison, who's another great artist.
Yeah.
So definitely check that out. So we told you earlier that I sat down with CB Cebulski at San Diego Comic-Con, and he gave us pretty much a rundown of what was coming up in the second half of Marvel's 80th anniversary, because 2019 is their 80th anniversary. And so they have a bunch of cool stuff coming down the line. Some of the stuff we've already talked about, like the Dawn of X-Men.
Sure.
But check it out. Here it is, a sit down with CB Cebulski and the state of Marvel in 2019. Hey, Previews World, Troy Jeffrey Allen here at San Diego Comic-Con, and I'm hanging out with CB Cebulski, second year in a row.
Exactly. It's good to be back. Thanks for having me out. I appreciate it.
There you go.
All right.
So, obviously, we're going to talk about Marvel.
Yep.
Obviously, we're going to talk about tons of cool stuff, and I want you to spoil everything for me.
We'll see what I can do.
Yeah, we'll see about that.
Don't get your hopes up.
Don't get your hopes up, guys. It's not going to happen. But it is the 80th anniversary.
Yeah.
And just in general, I wanted to ask you, like, I know we're like pretty much knee deep in the year at this point.
Yep.
But there's plenty of other stuff for the anniversary coming down the pipe.
Yeah.
And I just want to get a general idea for those of you who haven't heard about it yet. It's Marvel's 80th, but also what to expect.
You know, we've still got a few surprises left up our sleeve that are going to really blow people away. But, you know, 80 years, 8 decades of storytelling. Marvel Comics #1, 1939.
Yeah.
And, you know, it's a huge period of time. Someone once said that the Marvel Universe is the longest single fictional continuous narrative in human history.
Yeah.
Because the characters that were introduced in Marvel Comics #1 are still, you know, alive in the universe today. That universe has grown.
Yeah.
But we're taking this as an opportunity across all 12 months to celebrate not just the superheroes of Marvel that everybody knows, but all the different genres, look back at our past, all the different kind of stories that Marvel's told, and honor the comics, the content, but also the creators. And one of the things that I love is that people have been so surprised by some of the creators that have been coming back.
Yeah.
Oh my God, so-and-so's working for Marvel again. And it's like really blowing people's minds. And we got a couple more of those mind-blowing announcements coming soon.
Actually, part of that is Marvel Comics 1000.
Yes.
So I'm glad you mentioned Marvel Comics #1.
Yeah.
And also, you talk about the number of creators that are surprised.
Yeah.
Kareem Abdul-Jabbar?
Yeah, we tried to cast the wide net for Marvel Comics 1000. You know, it is a huge celebration. It is going to be a monster of a comic. It tells stories of all the characters across all the decades of Marvel history. And we went to past creators and current creators, but we also went to people who we knew were fans of Marvel just from their presences online or articles they've written or things that they've mentioned in the press, and tried to get a wide variety of creators to contribute who might people go, wow, you know what? Kareem Abdul-Jabbar loves Marvel Comics? I'll check that out. Adam Goldberg from the Goldbergs. You know, there's all different kinds of authors, you know, actors, writers, you know, online personalities who are going to come and be a part of this celebration.
Yeah. So actually, let's talk a little bit about secrets here.
Yeah.
All right, selfishly, I'm going to ask you about Jonathan Hickman's X-Men.
Okay.
I'm going to tell you right now.
Yeah.
I finally caught up on Secret War, right? And it's like already my favorite thing.
Yep.
So I'm expecting big things. I'm already speculating myself. But what can you tell us about Hickman's X-Men?
Expect big things, and it's going to get bigger.
Okay,
You know?
all right, fair enough.
I'm a huge X-Men fan. I grew up, X-Men was my first comic. I grew up an X-Men fan, never stopped reading. So, you know, focusing on X-Men was something that I really made a priority. And Jonathan came in with this crazy idea that he thought we'd never let him do. And when we said yes, I think he was like, uh-oh, now I got to execute. And boy, has he delivered.
Awesome.
This is some of the most mind-blowing stuff. And, you know, we've said this is a new era of X-Men that is going to redefine what mutants are in the Marvel Universe. And that is not hyperbole.
Right, yeah.
What Jonathan is doing is not changing anything, not revamping everything, not retooling everything. It's taking the pieces that are already there. It's building upon the legacies of, you know, Stan Lee, of Cockrum, of Claremont, of Byrne, of Jim Lee, of Joe Matt. It's taking everything that's gone before and putting another layer on that in a way that only Jonathan Hickman can.
That's awesome. So let me ask you this. Is it like, so there's the Powers of X,
Yep.
Powers of 10,
Yes,
sorry,
House of X. And Powers of 10.
Right, so we just to make that clear, that's
Yes.
exactly what it is. But these two books are going to be running alongside each other, telling a story that's going to lead into
the following year. Is that the deal?
Yes. As Jonathan has said, it's a 12-issue series broken into 2 6-issue series, just given the way that he's telling the story. And then after Powers of 10 number 12 or number 6 comes out, which will be the 12th issue of the series, we are launching what is going to be called the Dawn of X. And it's not an event. It's just something that we're calling. More details will be revealed very, very soon.
Okay, all right.
But there's some fun stuff coming for X-Men. So it's not just 2 X-Men books.
No.
There are some surprises to come.
Okay, see, now that was a spoiler. So, all right. I mean, by the time you guys see this, it won't be a spoiler.
It'll all be
but
there, yeah.
We'll already know about it. Let's talk about Absolute Carnage, because I'm a big fan of Donny Cates.
Yep.
People love his Venom.
Yeah.
And so now he's just going to literally unleash carnage on the Marvel Universe. What can you tell us about that?
You know, we're encouraging a lot of our writers to think big, and, when Donnie came on to Venom, we knew he had a much bigger plan, and when he told it to us, it's as big as Jonathan's X-Men and time-wise, and the things that he's going to be doing to Venom, Carnage, and everybody in the Spider-Man universe, he's planned from the start. So this is just another step in Donnie's master plan. He's a huge fan of Maximum Carnage, the old event. He has really been planning for this and really been building to it. It involves not just all the characters in the Spider-Man universe, but all the characters in the Marvel universe who has ever been touched by a symbiote, be it Venom or Anti-Venom or Carnage or Scream or whoever, and brings everything into play in a way that is not going to turn out well for many people.
It's in the title.
Yes, exactly. Absolute Carnage.
Absolutely. No pun intended. So you guys did a couple announcements this past week. Well, particularly I want to ask you about the new Ghost Rider series that's coming out. That actually looks pretty cool. What's that about?
With Venom, with Fantastic Four, with Powers of 10 and House of X, we've had the creators go back and try to redefine those characters. But like I said, not throw out anything away, but take it to the next level. Look at the past and take the characters on the new trajectory for the future. And what Ed Brisson and Aaron Kuder are doing with Ghost Rider is the exact same thing. It is going to be a redefining of the Ghost Rider, but not just of one or the other. It's going to be Danny Ketch and Johnny Blaze, because they're both in different positions in their lives. And there are going to be some new kind of takes on what the spirit of vengeance is. Just like Donnie went back and redefined kind of what symbiotes are and kind of looked back at the history and said, there's some missing pieces in the history of this Venom character that we could fill in the blanks. It goes back and it fills in some of the blanks of what the whole concept of hell and the spirits of vengeance is and how it affects the 2 Ghost Riders, Danny and Johnny, but also some of the other ghost characters and some of the other underworld characters in the Marvel universe.
Okay,
So,
I love it. I mean, connectivity isn't a Marvel thing.
it is a Marvel thing. And eventually it's all connected. Exactly.
Right, exactly. So I wanted to set the record straight on one other thing. Contagion,
Yes.
which is the Ed Brisson book that was recently announced.
Yes.
And Marvel Zombies, which was announced a couple of weeks prior.
Yes.
2 separate things.
2 separate things, correct.
Okay, now
So
what can you tell
Contagion
us?
itself is a 5th-week event. It's an idea that Ed had about a contagion, but you'll see where it comes from, that infects kind of the street-level characters at Marvel. It starts with the Fantastic Four, the first family of Marvel, who get themselves into a bit of a pickle, and Daredevil, Moon Knight, Jessica Jones, Luke Cage, Iron Fist, they're all going to come in. And there is a strong Kunlun connection to this that makes Iron Fist one of the key players. And it's just a fun, self-contained event that Ed came up with that I think really the people who are fans of those comics and those characters are really going to enjoy.
So not zombies. With
Not zombies.
Okay.
No, this is not a zombie book.
Okay.
Marvel Zombies, the return of Marvel Zombies, Marvel Zombies Respawn is a different series that we're launching. It come this October in the one-shot, and that is going back to the classic series that everyone loves that Mark Miller started in Ultimate Fantastic Four, and that Robert Kirkman carried on, that everybody knew that ran for so long. And we figured now, with next year being the 15th anniversary of the original Marvel Zombies, that this is a time to kind of bring them back into the picture.
Okay, perfect. CB, happy 80th.
Thank you
Thank
so
you for
much.
coming out here.
Happy San Diego.
Thank you.
Yeah.
And this is San Diego Comic-Con. Be sure to check out Marvel, of course, at your local comic shop. And I will see you at the Spinner Rack.
So yeah, I was really looking forward to just being able to sit down with Cebulski and talk about the things in the world of Marvel that are happening.
Absolutely.
We did something like this last year, and it went really well. And he actually said it was like 2 fans talking, which really, I mean, truthfully, it is. I'm definitely a Marvel fan.
Yeah.
But on top of that, Cebulski, his enthusiasm is clearly there. He's just. He's a wealth of knowledge of all the different things, the comings and goings of the Marvel Universe, of course, because he's editor-in-chief.
Right.
But also past and present.
Yeah.
So, a lot of fun. And hopefully we'll be able to do more of that. Like he mentioned earlier that he would like to do more sit-downs with us and talk about the future of Marvel. So
Very nice,
maybe more Marvel surprises down the line.
Ooh.
Fingers crossed.
Cool.
So if I haven't mentioned it already, I've mentioned it about 50 million times. We're at San Diego Comic-Con. We were at San Diego Comic-Con last week. And one of the perks, of course, of being there is all the cosplay, but also just the cool stuff, the toys and everything else that you see.
Sure.
One of my favorite memes actually is the pull quote that's mismatched with like a popular nerd culture figure. So you'll get like, make it so, and it'll be like a picture of Obi-Wan.
Right, yeah. That's good.
Right.
Yeah.
And actually, funny enough, I saw a newscast the other day. It was actually about San Diego Comic-Con. This lady ended with like one of her favorite superheroes is Superman, and then she mentioned with great power comes great responsibility, like deadpan, like straight face.
No!
And she was very confident about
She tried.
this. She really tried.
She tried her best.
But like, it was floating around the weekend of San Diego,
That's
and I was
funny.
like, ooh, that's cringy. That's
Ouch.
really cringy. But I bring that all up to say it's Social Swamp time. And so we kind of did this thing where I took a picture and I threw it up on Instagram, Facebook, Twitter, and I asked people name the character.
Yeah,
Now,
what is this?
I genuinely wanted people to name the character.
Oh.
But because our fans are our fans, they decided to go an extra mile and just make up things. And some of the responses were hilarious. So we're going to highlight some of those responses.
Absolutely.
Here's what we saw at San Diego Comic-Con and what you said. Check it out, Social Swamp.
So we're going to take a look at some of the photos that Troy got while he was over in San Diego. First up, we have this guy who's really cool, looks like something out of Dynasty Warriors. The detail on this is gorgeous. Yeah. And you all have named him Fred. Thanks for that, Benjamin. That was beautiful.
That was a good one, yeah.
Next up, we have this great alien figure. This is also really cool, super shiny, super sleek. And this is apparently Babs Gurr before their coffee in the morning.
I think we can all relate to that,
Yeah,
actually.
fair enough, fair enough. We've all been there. I might eat someone.
Yeah.
You never know.
You never know.
Next up, we have this awesome samurai Darth Vader, or samurai something from Star Wars, right?
Shogun Vader or something like that.
Shogun Vader. Like, this is a really cool costume.
It is.
Super, super awesome. And our friend Richard has said that this is Donnie Swingo, lead singer to the Sith Sound Machine. I am here for that.
I kind of wish that was a real thing, actually.
Like, let's have this really cool metal band.
Right. I actually selected that before I realized that's actually our show producer,
Yes, it is.
Rick Akey.
That's Rick.
That's Rick.
Good old Rick.
Uh-oh, sorry.
And last but not least, we have this really cool Starfire figure. She's gorgeous.
That's Cody
But
Bakio.
no, this is Waifu Trump.
and like that's very much my favorite one
Yes.
out of all of them. Like, yeah, there were some inappropriate ones, not just for Starfire,
Right.
But like just in general. But if you want to see the uncensored version, then just go on over to our Instagram. Yeah, just go to our Instagram, and you can see like all the pictures from San Diego Comic-Con, and then in the comments, like
What y'all had to say.
What y'all had to say. We actually might try to do this some more often. Like
That's
at least
pretty
when we go
fun.
to cons, like
a
I'll
good bit.
snap some pics and just give us all the wrong answers.
Absolutely.
I'm all for that. So normally we do a contest every show. We normally do it in the middle of the show,
Yep.
but we didn't, in case you hadn't noticed. And there's a reason for that, because we're going to do it right now. We mentioned San Diego Comic-Con, so now we have a ton of exclusives. And what can people win?
So yeah, we have a package of exclusives that are from the retailer lunch that happened at San Diego Comic-Con. So it's a bunch of comics and some other goodies, probably from a bunch of the big names, right? And if you guys want to win this package of stuff, let us know what your favorite announcement was from San Diego Comic-Con. Let us know in the comments on social media wherever you can find us. We'll take entrance until next week and pick one of you guys to win the pack of goods.
Yeah, and like I think like there's going to be some ash cans, some exclusive covers and other stuff, all from like the big guys. Like it's going to be Boom, Image, DC, like Marvel, all that stuff. So definitely keep an eye out for that and let us know. And one other bit of business we always do is Comic Shop shout out,
True.
right?
Yeah.
What do we got this week?
So this week, shout out goes to Comics Cubed in Kokomo, Indiana. So we'll leave you with photos of that place at the end of the show. And of course, if you want your favorite local comic shop to be featured, let us know what they are. Use the hashtag #SupportYourLCS and you could be featured on the show.
Cool. And that's it for this week on Previous World Weekly. I've been one of your hosts, Troy Jeffrey Allen.
And I'm Thea, and we'll see you at the spinner rack.
Thanks for watching Previews World Weekly. If you like the show, make sure to hit that subscribe button so you don't miss out on any future episodes.